Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 9 of the anime series Dance with Devils. And I'm going to give this show props for being no holds barred, for not holding back when it comes to these truths and revelations in the majority. When it comes to these characters and everything like that, I mean, whether characters are forced into it or they're exposing the truth of their own volition, I like that they're not really adhering to that melodramatic drama trope of people keeping secrets and either having them exposed through other means or, it's very much dealing with the ramifications of everything, of putting truth out there and letting these characters really sort of deal with it and consider it, in this case, Ritsuka being, the foremost and the utmost who has to sort of encounter all these different revelations and then conduct herself one way or the other. In this episode, Lindo really came to the fore with so many revelations about his past, about how he feels about Ritsuka, about, things that we were left to speculate. That's one of the great things about this series is they pepper in all throughout these hints of where it's probably likely going, and it's left to us, the viewers, to go back and forth in the comments, which I greatly enjoy, speculating on what we think these things mean, and then it comes to fruition, and it's seeing these characters dealing with those revelations that I just really appreciate, instead of, again, that melodramatic thing of just back and forth and nobody really having any give and sway, and the characterization, the dynamics that are under exploration when those truths are revealed. It's just the utmost. We're picking up with this episode still in the aftermath of Azuna's death and how rocked Ritsuka was by that and affected she was by that. And she's gone. I had put out there maybe there'll be some way to bring her back, but no, she's dead and gone. And I was kind of surprised by that to a point. And Lindo, the only thing he can do is but take Ritsuka away, spirit her away, bring her to the Exorcist's sort of, stronghold. And I think it's fascinating you have, Meiji Shiki and Yuri kind of being the three stooges of the devils now, infighting amongst themselves, playfully so that, oh no, Ritsuka's mine, and no, she's mine, what are you talking about? But they're trying to track her scent, and they figure out where she is. She's being contained within the Exorcist stronghold, and they're like, well, she's not exactly going to be safe there either, and it plays exactly to my speculations. I've talked about this both in comments and I think in former videos, where I feel like the Exorcists may be malevolent, may be on par with the malevolence we so far see depicted within the devil and vampire factions, and that plays totally true. I mean, for all intents and purposes, they're going to kill Ritsuka, they're going to try to destroy the vessel of the grimoire, and Lindo, I mean, he's going through all of these painful machinations. They're dousing him with like holy water to try to suppress his vampiric powers and everything and keep him at bay, throw him for a loop so they can do this to Ritsuka. And he just barely manages to spirit her away from them. They're giving chase, and you have, the Devil Trio, Meiji Shiki and Yuri, getting in the way of that, and trying to, stop, effectively, the Exorcists. It's just really interesting. And, of course, when Lindo and Ritsuka are on their own, I really felt heartened by the exploration of their past and how they came together, the closeness between them, how much of a protector Lindo wants to be to Ritsuka, and why he does. I mean, even though they're related, even though they're cousins, at least they're not brother and sister. Thank God for that. It's still very awkward, but I mean, it was kind of sweet to me, like calling back on them as children and how much, Ritsuka meant to Lindo and everything. He, in a way, felt like he had a place in the world because of her existence, because of how much she looked up to him, how protective of him she was. And he's just kind of returning the favor, and, it's all about love and compassion between them, even if there is, unfortunately, certain aspects that, they're a little too relatable together, being that they are cousins and all that. But I really love that they fully put it out there. He fully came clean with the fact that he is in love with her. He came clean with the fact that he is half vampire. He came clean with all of these things and exposed all of these things, again, maybe prompted by other machinations. But I like that this explores these characters having to deal with these revelations rather than just banging on and on and on, keeping it all, capped and keeping it all secretive as long as possible. Of course, Rem eventually catches up with them, and they have this just power ballad sort of duet, and the whole thing is a battle sequence between Lindo and Rem, and it was pretty balls to the wall. It was pretty awesome. But I did have one sort of lingering gripe, like, did Ritsuka not hear any of Rem's lyrics, any of the words he was saying, singing about being in love with her and everything like that? Because she completely just lambasts him. She's like, forget it, I hate you, I don't want anything to do with you anymore. And this is a pitch perfect life lesson in play, in the real world, the life lesson of sometimes, we have affection for somebody and we're afraid to actually expose that. We're afraid to approach that person and let them know how we're feeling and everything like that, even at the risk of them maybe turning us down. And usually that's what it is, the fear of them turning us away and denying us, feeling the same way for us, that keeps us from doing it. But Rem has very much kept Ritsuka at a distance, and now he's paying the price for it. What did he think? He was going to come in as a sort of white knight on horseback and save her from Lindo or the exorcists or whatever it is. And all she has seen of him is the back of his head in the hallway the last few episodes, if she's seen him at all. He's had no contact with her. He has that internal conflict, and it's very compelling, because he wants nothing more than to profess his love, this confession of love toward her, to protect her. And he's lying to his own, devil faction. He very much is on par with Lindo in having a strong amount of love and compassion toward Ritsuka and wanting to do the best for her and save her and profess his love. And, at this juncture, it's too late in the game. You missed your opportunity. Now she thinks you're just as bad as everybody else. You've only been doing this for objectification, for the grimoire itself, the power that represents, not any sense of romance or love or anything like that. And so, it took me back a little bit. It was kind of, frustrating, that aspect of it, where she, I guess, couldn't hear the words being spoken between them. Maybe there was like a whole different plane of existence they go into when they go into song. I don't know. But I just thought that was really sort of interesting, and it was the one aspect of the episode that kind of goes against what I'm saying and giving praise to their exposing the truth and then having these characters, deal with it. It's a 180-degree turn from that, admittedly, but it's very much for Rem himself. The ramifications are more for him himself, by himself, and the dynamic that could exist between he and Ritsuka, by itself. It's just the one small trope dealing with that. And of course, by the end of this episode, we have this very foreboding aspect of the vampires. I think we finally are given the name of the main vampire we keep seeing time and time again, with the hood and the mask that Lindo has run into a couple of times. And I think he was the one reacting to Lindo taking out the vampires in the one episode, using his own vampiric power. But the guy's name is Jack, and he's talking to this Lord Nesta, who I'm assuming these are the vampires because they're talking about, the young sir. I think they're talking about Lindo, being that he is part of vampire. What are they going to do with him? And very much the feeling I'm left with is the vampires are going to make their move now. We've seen the devils all throughout the series making their moves individually, and sort of, even though they have been on an individual basis, it's still for the greater purpose of the devils and everything. It's just each of these devils, Meiji, Shiki, Yuri, Rem, not so much Rem because it's more, he's motivated by the love for Ritsuka now. But the other three, I think they're thinking in terms of being like the leader of their faction, the conqueror of the devil syndicate, if you will, for lack of a better term. It just spells out to me, one of my speculations has been, because we're hearing about Lord Moxus. We don't know what Lowen and Lord Moxus are up to. You have whatever this entity is that seems to be familial relation to Rem, maybe it's his father or whatever it is. And now this Lord Nesta. It seems like there are hierarchies and higher echelons within each of these factions already, predisposed to be fighting amongst themselves as it is. The infighting that's going on. So it's like, how are these factions ever going to get off the ground and hope to attain the grimoire if they're already fighting amongst themselves internally? I don't know. But that spells out the grand battleground, the grand design of where everything's going toward its fruition, toward its finale. And it's going to be penultimately exciting. This episode was pretty badass. I loved the performance and them, making it sort of a battle sequence between Lindo and Rem of the song for the episode. And just that drama. Even though it did, I did find it somewhat irksome that Ritsuka is now denying Rem and really having a misunderstanding of where he's coming from because he hasn't come clean with it. At the same time, it is somewhat compelling because when is that going to be exposed? I almost feel like I was left feeling like, well, Rem's going to end up doing something that, he's going to sacrifice himself. He's going to be on his deathbed. Ritsuka is going to be like holding him as he's dying in her arms, and somebody else like Meiji Shikiyori, Lindo, somebody else is going to say, well, he lied to us. He was trying to protect you all along, and this is, he's in love with you, and that's going to be the revelation. Either it's going to be wholly penultimately tragic along that line, or Lindo or somebody is going to come in and like sacrifice themselves because they realize how affectionate Ritsuka is for them and all this kind of stuff. I don't exactly know, but that's the point. I'm on the edge of my seat to find out. And the series is just masterful in those gothic horror musical tropes, all those things that I'm banging on and on and on about that really have drawn me in. I love all of it. I love the characterization. I love the depth of the characters. And again, exploring the ramifications of whatever revelations occur from episode to episode, not tiptoeing on eggshells and getting stuff out there and seeing these characters dealing with it. I mean, very much, as I say, from the start of this episode, Ritsuka is dealing with the aftermath of losing Asuna. And I think we're going to see, and we already have seen, in how she cut Rem off. She's kind of putting the blame on him. She's kind of reacting to the death of her friend in this way where she's closing off all potential ties for heartache and harm to herself or to Lindo. And it's just going to be really compelling to see if the tides turn and how they may do so. With the vampires, again, seemingly pitched to make their move now. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 9 of Dance with Devils, if you've seen it, if you enjoyed it as much as I did, if you were compelled as much as I was. And even though there is that relation aspect of, Lindo and Ritsuka being cousins, did you also kind of find it sweet like I did, like calling back on their pasts in childhood, seeing what Lindo went through to kind of, keep his vampiric powers at bay, to keep Ritsuka safe, in his want to keep her safe, to protect her because of the love he had for her, and all those kinds of things. I mean, Japanese anime tropes, that's just the way it is. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this episode, and if you have any speculations for what may be to come as we ramp up toward the finale. Otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.